Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. I'm enjoying following the advice of some of the viewers of my videos asking me to extemp. So I'm going to do another one here that's further afield from what I usually talk about, and this is why I like corporations better than nonprofits. That certainly couldn't be more counter to the zeitgeist, where corporations are virtually seen as equivalent to sleazy monsters who are busy pouring toxic chemicals into our air and water. And of course, I'm not a fan of those guys. And nonprofits are seen as saints. We extol Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and anybody who donates most of their money to charity. That is to a nonprofit. And yet, I believe that that is misguided. Why do I like corporations? They are by definition efficient ways of producing product, goods, and services at a price that a wider range of people can afford than would be possible if all they were mom and pops, let alone state-run socialized entities. Whether that be a television set that today one can get a color television set that's 30 inches wide for $100, or a Whirlpool very reliable washer for $300, or a used Toyota which has 100,000 miles on it, which still could run for another 200,000 miles for $2,000, or the baby aspirin I take every other day to prevent a heart attack, which costs 2 cents a dose, and all the quote corporate food that we buy. I compare, for example, the tomatoes corporate food that I buy at $2.49 a pound at Trader Joe's, which no doubt is made in a factory farm, which has been given a terrible name, versus if I go to the farmer's market near my house, it's $2 per tomato. Now, I can afford, no problem, the $2 per tomato, but the supposed people that the media and the colleges and the activists care about, the poor, they don't have the luxury of being able to buy $2 per tomato, multiply that by every food item and every other consumer item that they have to buy. So that's one core reason why I like corporations, where they're investing money not only helps people to buy things that they need or want far more affordably, but they do create lots of jobs. And I'm a career counselor, and I can't tell you, in general, the large corporations treat their workers better than the small ones. Yes, they do offshore, but I have as much solidarity with a person in Bangkok than a person in Birmingham. And so, in fact, more, because they're human beings who are they're getting a job, even if it's $2 an hour, because that's the prevailing wage there. Their quality of life gets improved a whole lot more than if I get a job or a corporation gives a job to somebody in Birmingham for $15 an hour. The quality of life difference would be far greater for that Bangkok person. Also, apart from the jobs, in general, large corporations pay their workers better, give them more likely to give full benefits, more likely to enforce protections against sexual harassment, discrimination. They're more likely to follow environmental rules. Of course, there's some bad apples which the media will spare no time or expense to try to tarnish the corporate image, whereas small companies don't quite have the luxury of being so fastidious and following the rules. And I've actually seen small business people more likely to skirt, either subtly or dramatically, rules about pollution, worker safety, worker work. So, and nonprofits they're no saints. Nonprofits, there's a core point for me about why I don't like nonprofits as much. Nonprofits focus all of their efforts on generally the least among us. We have seen again and again, I've cited this before, We've spent trillions of dollars to try to close the achievement gap to no avail. So functionally, that money is fairly down the drain. That may be a bit overstating it, but it's true. Whereas if a company invests, say, in creating, I'm looking here at Trident chewing gum. I like it because it's actually healthier than it doesn't use sucralose, it doesn't use aspartame. It gives me pleasure. It cost me $1. If I had $1 million, I couldn't create this, and yet anybody can afford the pleasure of these 14 sticks of chewing gum. That's 7 cents a piece. And that's obviously a trivial product. What else am I sitting at? I'm seeing chapstick. This cost me $1. That lasts me 6 months or a year of making sure I don't have chapped lips and therefore that uncomfortability when you have a cracked lip. I'm thinking about just everything. I mean, the webcam. I am doing this recording on a webcam that's a Logitech webcam, C920, that cost me $69. I have made 250 videos on it that enable you to have crystal clear sound and video. I will admit that I've enhanced my audio a little bit thanks to some viewer complaints. I have spent another $100 on a blue Snowball microphone. But for that relatively small amount of money, that again, you could have given me $10 million, I couldn't have created that. Corporations like Logitech, or like whatever who makes this, the blue Snowball, blue I guess is the name of the company. All of you, the thousands of people, I've had 800,000 viewers of my videos. If it weren't for those corporations, whatever benefit you derive would never have happened. And I really do see nonprofits spending a hell of a lot of money on administration, and even the money that goes into program, as I said, can often yield so little benefit. Whereas this company, the name of the company is, it's a Mexican-owned company by a rich guy, I don't remember, Mondelez Global, right? With their investment of the whatever $1 million compared to a nonprofit guarantees that people, rich and poor, can get some pleasure. I mean, everything I'm looking around here in this room, this chair that's quite comfortable was made by a corporation. The monitor that's behind me, the monitor that's made by I don't even know who, HP made this monitor. Then I paid $150 for. Those are clear every time a company invests to create those products, they help with guaranteed certitude millions of people, or thousands of people at least, and create jobs. And they pay taxes. And so, yeah, we hear about criticizing corporations because they lobby. What do they lobby for? They lobby against things like the double taxation, the corporate income tax is something corporations pay, and then when the corporation passes on the profits to the shareholders, they get the shareholder pays tax again on the capital gain, on any dividends. So yes, they argue for a lower capital gains rate, a lower corporate tax rate. This is not something that's so terrible. Yeah. They're not going to argue for the right to pollute the air and water with clearly toxic chemicals. They may indeed argue for looser regulations that have minimal effect on human safety, maybe very marginal, but a massive increase in costs that has to get passed on to consumers. Does this make corporations bad? So I know that's an extraordinarily contrarian opinion, but that's why and in terms of investing, I would, while I am, yes, in my will, I'm leaving quite a bit to charity, I feel better about my dollars doing more good if I invest in a company that I believe does good things, like Toyota or Whirlpool, than donating to a nonprofit. Paradoxical though that may seem, or contrarian though that may seem. Anyway, that's all I feel I need to say about that. As always, I welcome your giving a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you deem appropriate. So you can do that down below. Write a comment, and if you decide to, you can share it. There's a share button there that enables you to share on social media. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I am Marty Nemko.